Welcome back to the Little Black Shade Tree. We're gonna make these adorable skeleton Halloween trophies. I'm also gonna show you some incredible footage of my sister's custom skeleton horse costume at the very end. You are not gonna wanna miss it. So here's my materials. I got most everything at the Dollar Tree. I got the puff balls at Walmart, but those skeletons in that coffin were delightfully from the Dollar Tree. I did use some 2x4s from around the house, and I cut up what I thought was a good base. I believe they're about 3 inches wide, and then of course the 4 inches, and then the 2. So I just chopped them up. That was an easy process, and they're all very splintery and sharp, so make sure to sand those edges down. Just make sure to get them all sanded down. So all of these little skeletons have these little things on the top of their heads, so I just chopped them off with my wire cutters. They're just plastic. And then I used my wire and I cut what was about a good length of the skeleton. I measured to make sure, and I put my skeleton on my board to see where I wanted him to stand, and then I made a mark of where I wanted the wire to come out of. So I used this screw to make a hole so I could stick the wire into the base. This is gonna hold your skeleton up. So I shot some hot glue into that hole and quickly placed my wire inside. And then I hot glued his feet and stuck him down right up against the wire. I also hot glued along his back so that the wire was stuck to him all the way up. I went ahead and put my wires in all my blocks so they would be ready for more skeletons. One thing that I found helpful was that I couldn't get his feet to go all the way back to the wire. So here I'm showing you how I trimmed off his heel. He had a really pointy heel, so I just cut it off so that his leg could be flush with the wire. See, he's much closer to the wire now, and it's much easier for me to hot glue that wire all the way up his back. So here's our skeletons ready to go. I got my paint, make sure it bonds to wood and plastic, and spray them all down. This is one of my favorite parts. I really like watching the transformation from regular block of wood and dollar store toy to a trophy. My daughter also really wanted to be a part of this, so I let her spray them all down good. My first one was my artist skeleton. I just cut out some black cardstock, a little circle for his hat. I also cut out a tiny mustache, if you see it on his face now. I cut his elbow and re-hot glued it so that his arm was sticking out front. And then I cut out of cardstock a little painter's, I don't even know what you call those. Anyway, I used real paint to put little globs on it, and he looks so professional. So my princess skeleton, I just grabbed some scrap pretty princess fabric and used my needle and thread and gathered the top of it, just like so. And then I hot glued it through the back, cut off the excess. There was a lot of excess. And there's her beautiful skirt. I used some more cardstock to cut out a tiara. I just held it up to her to get the right size, and I gave this pretty little Sleeping Beauty themed crown. I also cut her arm so that she can have a waving arm just like she's in a parade. And I put a couple jewels on that tiara. This guy is woman, I believe, is my high fashion skeleton. I gave her a nice arm pop. I cut her shoulder and her elbow so that she could have her arm on her hip, and I did one more cut on the elbow. So first thing I put on her was her feather boa, and then I made this cute little masquerade mask that she holds. I did the same needle gathering through her black fabric skirt. If you noticed, I even found some tiny little feathers to put on the top of her masquerade mask. And I used a toothpick to put it on. That's what her skeleton arm is holding, is the toothpick. So here's my clown skeleton. He was the easiest one, I believe. I had some glitter cardstock actually, and I cut out a bow tie, and then I used some blue paper and I cut out a little hat. Here's the mummy skeleton. All I did was take some fabric and shredded it up into little bits. In the previous years, I used white ribbon, but this looks so much better. It looks so much more realistic. So it's all different sizes and it's all raggedy. So just glue it on however you like. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just wrapping him up. There he is. He looks awesome. So for the bee, this is my daughter's favorite one. This one I made for the cutest costume award. I just took some black cardstock and yellow cardstock and put stripes on and then wrapped his or her chest in it. And then I used some black cardstock to make some wings, glued those to the back. And for the antennae, I used more of my wire. However, this hot glue didn't quite stick, so I actually punctured it into the skull. So here's from one of my favorites, the Dracula. I got this awesome coffin at the Dollar Tree, and it had a picture of Dracula in the back. So I just put black cardstock. Looking back, I should have put red cardstock because my skeleton had a black cape on, but I hot glued it to the board and I stuck that wire down in there. I took a piece of black fabric and I'm making a nice Dracula cape from it. I really like how this turned out. I made a little tiny small piece to go on the top so it looks like he's wearing a collar, like a Dracula collar. There, he looks like he fits. There's his little Dracula collar. Stuck it on the top. Hot glued that wire, stuck him in, and I used some more of my glitter paper, gave him a nice red jewel because Dracula has lots of bling. I also put a couple little diamonds next to it. Here, I have some little tiny diamonds that are for fingernails, and I just use them on my daughters, but those looked really great on my Dracula. There he is. And here's the big Kahuna. I love this guy. I got this skeleton crow thing from the Dollar Tree once more, and I stuck him on. I actually just used some hook nails, those like little U nails, and hammered them down over the back of his feet. So he's really solid and no wire needed. I hot glued my skeleton down. It didn't end up being as strong as I hoped, so I ended up going back and using super glue. My daughter's fun idea was to make him holding a lasso, so I used some more of my wire and I put a big old lasso in his hand. I thought that was a great touch. And then I painted it all with some more gold to make sure he was all uniform. And for the finishing touch, I gave him a pair of shades. Oh yeah. Here's the last one. I made him Batman because I love Batman so much. This was our most heroic costume award. I just made a easy piece of little black fabric, folded it down on the top so that the top didn't have a ridge, and glued it to his back. I then used some paint to paint on his bat hat, his mask, just like Batman wears. I tried a Sharpie, but it wouldn't cover, so I used my paint, and then I used some black cardstock and cut out 2 little teardrop shapes, and I glued them onto his head upside down, and they looked like nice bat ears. Here they are. They're all finished. I absolutely love them. The scaredy one with the spiders, I just glued on a bunch of spiders and it worked out great. As promised, I'm going to show you this incredible video of my sister's unbelievable horse costume. She made this entirely from scratch, all custom for my mom's horse Annabelle. She made all the bones, cut them out in paper life size, and then cut them out in fabric and hand stitched them all onto this costume. It's unbelievable. I think she did an incredible job. She took it to a couple horse shows and of course nailed it. So I am super proud and impressed. Look at that.